Namaste. Welcome to this short practice on Monday morning. This is just my warm up before class with you guys later. I was really poorly this last week, probably week and a half, and I'm still not quite right. And so I wanted to share with you some of the yoga practices that I do when I'm not feeling my best. This is a really simple practice. It's just the 6 movements of the spine from a lying down position. So if you join me lying on your mat, we'll keep our knees bent, feet on the floor, and arms can rest away from the body ever so slightly. Whenever you come to do some yoga, it's always a nice idea to start the practice with a moment of stillness so that you can leave behind all of the other things that are going on in life and just almost mentally step away from them so that you can devote the next few minutes of practice towards your own personal investigation of self. How you feel, how your body feels, the sensations, the conversations that your body is having with you. And also noticing your breath, kinds of thoughts that are on your mind, and perhaps the way that you feel emotionally before you begin to practice. And that is even more important on days when you are coming to the mat, but you don't feel your very best. So you might notice, for example, that you have a low back that feels a little bit different than normal, or you might notice that your shoulders do, or you might just notice that your breath is more of a challenge to allow it to settle into a nice, gentle rhythm. Whatever it is, it doesn't affect the practice, it just informs the practice. So when you have allowed your body to settle into this neutral position for a few moments, we're going to start with just rolling the head, gentle turn of the head from side to side, just to ease any tension out of the neck and maybe a little bit out of the shoulders if you're lucky, allowing the head to be really heavy. And we're aiming for about 4 or 5 of these nice, gentle, slow rolls. And then in the center, we're just going to start with a little bit of pelvic tilting. So we're going to first begin by pressing the space out behind the low back by allowing the low back to contact the floor, and then rolling over the tailbone to allow a little bit of space underneath the low back as you tilt the pelvis the opposite way. So we're just doing gentle tilting backwards and forwards. I sometimes like to rest my fingertips on my hip bones here at the front so that I can feel how much of a tilt is happening. It doesn't need to be a big movement. It's about how it feels to you. So you're aiming to create a sense of fluid movement and ease within that movement. So without strain, you'll need to use your tummy muscles and press your feet into the floor. And you might find yourself moving slightly on the mat, which is also quite nice, this sort of movement of the skin against the floor. When you've done this for a few rounds, and we're going to come back to center. My feet are about the width of my body apart. My knees are over my feet, and that's about what we want to begin with. So with a touch of lift across the belly muscles, just allowing the knees to sway from side to side. They don't have to go far, just beginning to feel that twisting sensation through the body. And again, looking for about 4 or 5 of these. I did many more pelvic tiltings because I was chit-chatting. But aiming for about 4 or 5 knee sways, not really looking for a spinal twist, just a sway. And then drawing the knees into the chest, again, keeping them that body width apart, just making some stirring circles. Circling the knees in the same direction, one way and then in the same direction, the opposite way. And just beginning to feel maybe that you're able to release a little bit of tension from the back of the body. Back of the body can get tired if we're not feeling our best. And then when you're ready, taking the feet back down to the floor, we're going to do that again, but with more pronounced movements. So leaving the head and the neck still, pressing into the feet to roll the hips slightly away from the mat, just maybe a fist distance, and then rolling down, tilting the pelvis the opposite way. And doing about 4 or 5 of these. Just gentle lift and lower. You don't have to coordinate your breath with the movement, but if it comes naturally, then you can. And if you feel that you want to progressively lift a little higher, then you can do that as well. Just finding your way. Maybe one more like this. And then as you come down, allowing the hips to settle into the mat, create a little bit of stability there. And with the firmness of the belly muscles, allowing the knees to sway just that little bit further from side to side. So perhaps you can naturally allow your knees to find the floor or towards the floor, but we don't have to press all of the way there. We're just allowing the movement to become a little larger, so we get a bit more from doing that movement. Let's do one more to each side. Still nice and firm across the belly. And then bringing the knees into the chest. And this time we're going to let the knees go in opposite directions. So circling the knees in opposite directions. I call this rock and roll, which is how it feels. You sort of rock and roll around on the floor. We'll go the opposite way as well. And it's a really nice way to begin to massage tension out of the back of the body, which is great. And then when you're ready, coming back to center, we're going to take the feet back down to the mat. This time we're going to bring the feet a little bit closer together, perhaps about hip width apart. Don't worry too much about it, it's not prescriptive, just whatever feels good in this moment. And we're going to bring the elbows down by the sides, really press the back of the arms, the shoulders, even the back of the head into the mat. And then firming the belly, firming the feet into the floor, bringing the hips up, trying to keep the knees from coming apart as well, and gently lowering down. Here we're really active in the upper body, which is quite nice because we begin to open the chest a little bit more. And whilst most people think about lifting their hips in bridge pose, you can think about bringing your chest towards your chin if you want to open that space in the upper back. And that really encourages that muscle activation between the shoulder blades, chest to chin. Here at the top of the movement, we're just going to hold for a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And then slowly releasing down. I'm going to take my feet back to that sort of wider stance. Again, using the backs of the arms and the elbows, bringing the hips up and hula hooping the hips in the air, maybe about 3 or 4 times in each direction, just to, again, feel that activation through the back body, encourage some of that muscular work. When you're ready, you can bring the hips all the way down. And we're going to allow the feet to be nice and wide, arms can rest away from the body, knees to rest down on the left side of the body. And then when they do, just see if you can actively encourage, particularly the inner right foot and thigh towards the mat, and reach your right arm away from you. So we want to leave the elbow, the shoulder, the wrist on the floor, and you might find that's easier if you're reaching out to the side. But if you're able to reach all over towards the ear, then you can find a little bit more space down the side of the body. It doesn't matter, wherever your elbow, wrist, and shoulder relax to the floor will be the right place for you. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and then release your right arm back to neutral. Firm in the belly muscles to bring your knees back to neutral. Little sway from side to side just to rebalance the pelvis and the spine. And then allow the knees to rest down on the right side of the body and reach your left arm away or up, depending on where your shoulder, elbow, and wrist feel comfortable, encouraging the inner left foot and thigh towards the mat. Taking a deep breath wherever you are, just feeling that space down the left side of the body, particularly over the waist and the ribs and the hip. And then when you're ready, releasing the left arm back to your side, firm in the belly to bring the knees back to center, just a little sway of the knees from side to side. And we're going to bring the feet together so that the knees are also together, and take one more twist to each side. So the knees going down on the left side. You'll notice this feels differently in the pelvis, reaching the right arm away. Just taking a couple of deeper breaths. Again, feeling that space down the side of the body. When you're ready, gently coming back to the center, a little sway of the knees from side to side, just in the center, so that you work to the opposite side from a place of balance. Knees down to the right, left arm reaching away, just taking a couple of deep breaths. And then when you're ready, releasing your left arm, bringing your knees back to the center, just doing a tiny bit of swaying from side to side to rebalance the pelvis. Then you can hug your knees towards you. And here, it's a really nice thing to do this knees in action, but without the arms. So I'm going to leave my knees about body width apart, arms released down, and do a little bit of gentle stirring of the knees, one way and the other. And then after that gentle stirring of sort of ironed out any tension in the low back, I can begin to extend one leg and then the other in a little circle. So it's as if my foot is making a circle. Hold on. There we are, I'm doing two different directions. There we are. And the lower my foot comes, my long leg comes towards the floor, the more challenging it is. So you can do this with your feet right up towards the ceiling. You can go a little bit quicker if you like, or you can extend through, making sure that you don't feel any strain in your low back as a result. Go in both directions and really feel your belly muscles firing up. A little bit like cycling, but with a circular element to it. And when you're ready, you can bring your knees back to center, hug them towards you, bring your head towards your knees, and just gently roll backwards and forwards through the length of the spine until you can comfortably come up to sitting. And we're going to finish this practice with a little bit of side bending from a seated position. So choose your comfortable seat. If crossed legs is not comfortable, try this with the feet on the floor with the knees bent. And we're just reaching one hand down towards the mat and the opposite arm up and over. So a little side to side action. Just exploring those sides of the body, just a touch. The next time your hand comes down on your left side, right side, reaching the left arm over, and then just gently rolling your left shoulder backwards and forwards, getting a little spiraling side bend here. Aiming just for a few of these before coming back to center, going over to the opposite side, and again, a little gentle rocking motion through the upper body, rolling the right shoulder backwards, right shoulder forwards. just a few times. When you're ready, coming back to an upright position and just spending a few moments observing the effect of your complete practice so far. Observe how your body feels. Hopefully you've ironed out some of the kinks. It can feel quite delicious. Maybe your breath is even into a nice rhythm, and you can have an awesome day. So I'll leave you with this short practice. It's what I like to do when I'm not feeling my best. And I hope that you enjoy it on days when you're not feeling your best. Namaste.